Okay, so this is the inquiry lab to start chapter 10, and this is on volume of rectangular prisms. So we're going to be exploring volume in here, and just follow along and follow all directions in here. So let's start up here. It says Desmond is purchasing a storage cabinet. The cabinet is 2 feet wide, 3 feet long, and 6 feet tall. What is the volume of the cabinet? So here it says you can use centimeter cubes to find the volume of the cabinet, and volume is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure. Volume is measured in cubic units, so you basically count how many cubes can fit inside of something. Each cube of your model represents 1 cubic foot. Now, since you aren't using models here, you're going to miss out on a really cool activity that we did in class, but we'll at least get some of the investigations done. So step 1, build a model that is 2 cubes wide, 3 cubes long, and 6 cubes tall. Remember up here, it said the dimensions of his cabinet were 2 feet by 3 feet by 6 feet. So that's why we're doing 2 by 3 by 6. And if you look over here, you'll see it's 2 this way, it's 3 this way, and it's 6 tall. They are the 3 dimensions. Step 2, count the number of cubes used to build the model. The model uses blank cubes. So I'll show you a way to kind of count with this because you can't see some of the cubes. So I like to look at this top layer here. And if you see on the top layer there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubes there. So if there's 6 cubes on that top layer, that means that each of these layers here, this is a layer, this is a layer, this is a layer, looks like this and has 6 cubes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count by 6s for each layer. So this top one is 6, the second one is 6 more, we're at 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. So here we know the model uses 36 cubes, even though you can't see them all. So the volume of the cabinet is 36 cubic feet. Now that's great if you have cubes and you can count them, but if you don't, you're going to be using the formula. So it says find the product of the dimensions of the cabinet. Now remember the 3 dimensions were 2, 3, 6. So we have 2 times 3 times 6. And if you solve this one, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 6 is 36. So the product is the same as the volume. So think here is when we counted cubes, here is when we multiplied the 3 dimensions. Now you guys are going to have to skip this because we can't do this in a video, so we'll go on to the next page. Investigation 2 says you can find the volume of rectangular prisms with fractional side lengths. So step 1 says the model to the right is blank cubes long, blank cubes wide, and blank cubes tall. So we're going to check this one out. Now, it doesn't matter if you get wide mixed with long. It's not that big of a deal, but I'll kind of show you here. So first, looking at how long it is that way, there's only 1 cube going this direction. So it's 1 cube, let's just call that 1 cube wide. Going length, if you go this way, there's actually 2.5 cubes. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's half. So there's 2.5 cubes long. And as far as tall, how tall it is, if you measure how many cubes high it is, how many layers are stacked, it is only 1 cube tall. So they are the 3 dimensions. It's 2.5 going this way, 1 this way, and 1 this way. Now, count the number of cubes used to build the model. So if I do that, I see there's 1, 2, and a half. So it uses 2.5 cubes. So the volume of the model is 2.5 cubic feet. Uh-oh, my pen stopped working. Hold on. Okay, let me try that again. So the volume is 2.5 cubic feet. Now, here's where it says compare the product of the dimensions of the prism with its volume. So remember my 3 dimensions were in this problem. I had 1 times 2.5. And 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2.5 is 2.5. And holy crap, they are the same. So what we're trying to get you to understand is that you can find volume by counting how many cubes make up a figure. And you can also find it by multiplying the 3 dimensions. So if you figure out how high something is, how long something is, and how wide something is, multiply those 3 numbers and you'll get it. Now, investigation 3 is where the fun begins. And if you aren't good at drawing 3-dimensional figures, then you're probably going to cry in this one. All right, but so for real, don't stress out over your drawing abilities. All right, So this says you can use cubes of candy to find the volume of rectangular prisms with fractional sides. So just so you know, if you're absent and you missed this yesterday, we had a candy party and you missed out on all the candy. Only kidding, we didn't. So step 1 says cut one piece of candy into 2 halves. And step 2, make a model that is 2.5 cubes long, 2 cubes wide, and 1 cube tall. Draw a picture of your model. So I'm going to show you how to kind of do that. So I'm going to write these dimensions because I'm going to be blowing this up real big. You don't have to write this down. So it's 2.5 long, 2 wide, and what did it say? 1 tall. Okay, now let me blow this up big so you can see how this is going to work. Now, the key to this is being able to actually see these dots as a whole bunch of cubes. And let me show you this. If I trace the dots like this, oh my gosh, it's made up of a bunch of cubes. And you could do that all over and make a whole bunch of cubes. But that's not what we're going to be doing. Well, we're kind of going to be doing it here. But we're going to be drawing this prism in a second. So what you're going to do, you might have to pause this video a lot to try to figure out what the heck I'm doing here. So we're going to start with this 2.5 long. I'm going to blow this up even bigger. So if I'm doing that here, I'm going to start at some of the dots, and I'm going to go 1. Oop, let me turn the pen on. Here's 1, 2, and I'm going to go about 2.5. I'm not going to go all the way to that next dot. Now, it says it's 1 tall, so I'm just going to go up 1 and go up here. Now remember, there's the 1, there's the 2, and there's the 2.5. Now we're going to talk about this 2 wide. So now watch the direction I'm going to show 2 wide. I'm going to go this way, 1, 2. Go down and connect it over here, draw your line. So now here's what we have so far. We're 2.5 long, 2 wide, and 1 tall. We don't have to add any more on top. So I'm just going to, watch how I close this one up. I'm going to kind of just go up here, follow these dots. Go down here, remember it was 2.5. Connect all these dots. And I just drew a prism that is 2.5 long, 2 wide, and 1 tall. Now let me zoom back out here. Remember, pause the video if you need to draw that. If you need to, I don't know if you can zoom in or whatever you're doing, but do your best here. In step 3, it says, count the number of cubes used to build the model. The model uses blank whole cubes and blank half cubes. So let's find that out. Here are my whole cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it uses 4 whole cubes, and here are my half cubes. This 1 and this 2, and 2 half cubes. 2 halves equal in whole, so a total of 5 cubes were used. Now, remember, just in case you don't know where that 5 came from, you had these 1, 2, 3, 4 whole ones, and these 2 halves make a whole, so that's the 5th one. All right, so the volume of the prism by counting the blocks is 5 cubic units. Now it says compare the product of the dimensions of the prism with its volume. Remember, the product of the dimensions means multiplying the length times the width times the height. And that is going to be these numbers right here. So if I have 2.5, which I can write as 2.5 if you don't like writing it as a fraction, times 2 times 1. And guess what? 2.5, and you can use a calculator, times 2 times 1 is 5. So when we did that, they are the same. Now I want you to think in the real world. Would you rather just multiply the 3 dimensions, or would you rather get out some dot paper and try drawing that thing? I don't know. If you're a good drawer, maybe you would draw it. I kind of like doing that. But if you're not, then that is a nightmare. Anyway, we're going to practice your nightmare on the next page, so get ready. All right. So I'm going to show you here. Basically, all these 6 problems you're going to be doing. And they're all like that investigation 3 we just did. So I am going to do one with you, and we'll have you try another one. Okay? So let us zoom in. Let's do problem number 2. All right. So we have to find the volume. Now, I know you can just do length times width times height. And 2 times 4 is 8 times 1 is still 8. So I know my volume is going to be 8 cubic units. Here's how you write it, by the way, with a little 3 exponent for cubic. But now you have to draw this luscious figure. So here's what we know. It's 2 long, it's 4 high, and it's 1 wide. So watch how I do this. I'll start with the 1 wide. I'm going to go 1 wide. Okay, I'll even make it, there's my 1. And now I'm going to go 2 long. 1, 2. Okay, so there's my 2 long. But remember, it's 4 high. So here is already 1 high. So I'm going to count out another, another, and another. So check this out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do that here. 1, 2, 3. And this one I already have is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to connect those. This is fun. It's like art class. Holy crap. Look at that prism. It is beautiful. And now guess what? If I count the blocks, remember it's going to be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you have trouble drawing that, you can pause the video and draw it and do your best to copy what I just did. All right, so now here's what you're going to do. We're going to have you try one. Let's start you off with an easy one, like number 1. So you have to find the volume of this cube. It is 1 long, 1 high, and 1 wide. Remember, you kind of go wide this way, long this way, and high straight up and down. See if you can draw that. Now, if you want to find the volume before you do it, go for it, but then draw it. So do your best, pause the video, draw that prism, and then restart it to see if you're right. You know, worst case, if you're wrong, just watch and do it with me in the video. Okay, go. All right, so I'm going to show you my best artwork here. Okay, so it's 1 long. There. 1 wide and 1 high. I'm just going to continue connecting that. And guess what? I have 1 cube. So my volume is 1 cubic unit. Now, I don't like writing those words out. Remember, you can write 1 unit cubed as a shortcut. Again, isn't it easier to do 1 times 1 times 1? All right. So now, let's go down and look for some harder ones. Okay, the next one I want you to do is, I'm going to have you do number 3. I'll zoom in a little bit, give you a hint, and then you're going to find it. Now again, if you want to multiply the length, width, and height first to find the area, you can, or you can draw it first. I don't care. And I said area, I meant volume. So length 3, height 4, 2 wide. So just so you know, if you're going length 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Width 2, just go this way, 1, 2. And height 4, you're going to have to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just connect all the lines in between there. Once you do that, count your blocks and see if you can get your volume. So pause this sucker, give it your best shot. If you're struggling, you could do it with me on the video and pause. Remember, this is not art class. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so let me show you how to do this. Length is 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I can complete that so I actually see the 3 there. Isn't that cool? 1, 1, 2, 3. Now, the width is 2, so now I'm going to go this way. 1, 2. All right. Now, the height is 4, so remember, I'm already at 1 layer high. So I'm going to go up 3 more to make it a total of 4. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, I can count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can start connecting all of those sides, all of those dots, and try to get that top part. That's sometimes the trickiest if you're not a good drawer. And there I've got my beautiful prism. Now remember, it was 3 long. See my 3 going this way? It was 2 wide. You see my 2 going this way? and it was 4 high. See my 4 going this way. They are my 3 dimensions. Now, if you wanted to count these, you could say, all right, so there's 6 on the top. There's 6 in each level. So in level 1, there's 6. Level 2, there's 6 more, so that's 12, 18, 24. Or, remember, 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24 cubic units. All right. So let's see what you got left to do. Okay. So here's basically what you got to do. You got to do 4, 5, and 6. But I'm going to give you some permission. If you think you are good at drawing these half ones, you can keep those fractions. But I know they're going to be tricky. So here's what I'm going to give you permission to do. If you don't want to do the halves, then we're going to change these fraction ones to easier numbers. Remember? But if you want to keep the halves because you're brave and you got guts, go for it. So I'm thinking let's change the length instead of 1/2 to 2. This length will change instead of 2.5, let's just change it to 3. And this length, instead of 3.5, we'll just change it to 4. Because I don't care if you can draw the half ones, I think they make it a lot harder. But if you want to challenge yourself, do that. So, here is your job. You have to basically do 4, 5, and 6. But what I'll do is I'll do one more with you. I will probably do, let's say, 6. So you can start with that, watch it on the video, make any corrections if you screwed it up. And then you'll just have to do 4 and 5 by yourself, and I'll be checking that when you hand it in. So, start with 6. If you want to watch the video, you can. If not, if you're good at it and you're like, I don't need to listen to you because you're boring, Mr. Romanishin, then you don't have to watch it. Just make sure you do it right. Also remember, for each one, find the volume. Okay, so anyway, pause the video if you want, start it, because I'll be doing 6 in a second. Go. All right, so if I want to start, I'm going to do it with the 4. I'm not going to do it with the 3.5 because those halves are going to be a pain. I'm going to start by multiplying the dimensions. So 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. I know my area is going to be 16 cubic units. Okay, so let's show you how you can do it. So it's length of 4. And if you drew the length as the width, who cares? It doesn't matter. So, but I'm going to start going this way. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so there's my length of 4. My width is 2, so I'm going to go 1, 2. Okay. And my height is 2. I already have one height there, so I just have to go up one more for a height of 2. Okay, connect them, and don't forget the top part. That sometimes is the trickiest part. All right, now remember, I should have 16 units, so let me mark my height as 2. Let's count them out. So I'm going to count the top layer. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 in the top layer. That means there'll be 8 on the bottom layer. And 8 plus 8 is 16. Wow. Amazing. Anyway, do 4 and 5 or whatever those two were. Hand this in. You better kick butt. If you don't have perfect drawings, you're going to fail math for the year. Okay, bye.